Hey everyone, in this video I wanted to do something slightly different and take you through how I personally use simple analytics. So to give you some context, about a month ago I posted a blog post on Hacker News and it did insanely well. If I pull up my previous analytics solution here, you can see that I got 60,000 visits in a very short amount of time. The trouble with this though is I didn't really understand these visitors. I didn't really understand how they were moving through my site, whether they clicked on any links, whether they followed through to my YouTube channel. I didn't really have any data beyond the absolute basics. And as I plan to do another blog post soon, I'll show you how I've integrated simple analytics in my Next.js project, as well as some of the things I've added like goals and event tracking to really enrich that data. So first let's pull up the blog post. So it's based on the script that I made for a YouTube video. So I posted that YouTube video hoping that people would kind of follow along and potentially subscribe to the channel. But while I understood that 60,000 people visited the site, I didn't really know how many of those actually clicked on this link. And I also have some links down the bottom of the post. You can see that I linked to my YouTube channel here, as well as a little freelance sort of agency that I've got. So here is the code base. This is a Next.js and TypeScript project, which I know is way overkill for this kind of thing, but I like to use the same tech stack for all of my sites. It just keeps it super simple and consistent. You can see that I want to use events in simple analytics. So I've got a script here, which just creates that window.sa event function. Now, if you want to learn more about events, you can have a look at some of the dedicated videos for that. So I've got that here. And then at the bottom, I've got the basic collection script. And you can see that I'm using a custom domain, sa.scalefunction.com, another one of my domains, to make sure that ad blockers aren't blocking any of these analytics requests. Another thing that I've included is, since I'm using this SA event function and I'm using TypeScript, I've just defined this global type, and this just extends the window interface with that function. You can see it takes an event name as well as some metadata. And so with that, we can now go into the blog post itself, and you can see where I've included that YouTube link. I've now created this window.sa event of YT_click. So I'll now know every time someone clicks that link. And with that, of course, since I plan on doing multiple blog posts, I've just said that the blog post that click is coming from is cursor-tips. And I've also added some additional metadata like the URL that they're actually visiting, as well as the video title. These are not really necessary, but I figure down the line when I'm viewing these events, it might be nice to see the video title itself rather than just this URL. And I don't really know what that kind of corresponds to. Beyond that, I've also got this footer. This is where I link to my channel. So once again, I've added this YouTube click, and this time the URL, of course, is just to my channel. And then finally, I've got one more event, agency_click. This is if they click on this. And of course, I include the blog post. So when you're defining events on a blog post, it's always great to include the context of the actual blog post that it's coming from so that you can differentiate that data in the future. So now let's pull up simple analytics and I'll go through some of the things I'm doing in there. So I've created this goal, which is YouTube clicks. So all I've done here is just hook up to the YT_click event, and I can filter this in the future. I can do more with this in the future if I kind of want to dissect that data a little bit more. But then I've also got this show on top of the visitors dashboard. You can see I've got the base data here, and in the future or next time I post a blog post, I can just click that and see, based on all those visitors, how many people are actually clicking on those YouTube links. And then finally, another thing that I plan to do is every time I write a blog post, I'll make an annotation. So this might be like Hacker News cursor-tips blog post, and I can just backdate it. I think that was like March or something rather. And I can just backdate that, and I can even link to that blog post on Hacker News. And when I add that annotation, I'll just get, like, this is just for my own sake, I'll get this handy line to see, I posted a blog post here, here's what kind of happened afterwards. And then I posted another blog post on this date, and I can kind of view the trends between those two. Obviously, you get some massive peaks, and then it goes down to more of a flat line. And you can view when I posted, how did my visitor data do after each post. For example, one thing this does is that if you just look at the referrers, you can see a big spike from Hacker News, but a lot of the links on Hacker News get picked up by different aggregator sites. They might get picked up in like a newsletter. And by looking at the referrers, I can't really get a good idea of what actually happened when and what impacted my traffic. These annotations just make it so much nicer to kind of see, oh, this peak was from this blog post. this peak was from this Reddit post, and so on. All right, and so that is it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this sort of different style where I'm taking you through more of a real life scenario. If you guys like the style of video, I can also go over some of my software websites and how I'm integrating simple analytics into those. For example, seeing stuff like a SaaS landing page performance, how I'm tracking conversions, how I'm tracking user behavior, and kind of informing my future developments based on that. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.